right, so let's say that we are representing Sam and Sadie, and Sam's sporting goods. Everything is going well. We find some buyers. They don't want to write a purchase agreement yet. They want to do an LOI instead. So what's the easiest way that we can put an LOI together for them? Well, let's find our rep agreement. So let's go to Manage Documents. And we will put in representation. Okay, so here's our seller representation agreement. And again, you might have to uncheck boxes here. If too many results come up, it's because it's searching in multiple things. All we want it to search is the name of the file, or the name of the document. So we'll just leave name on and uncheck the rest. So we want our representation agreement. When we open that up, we can scroll down on the side here and you can see letter of intent. So the easiest way to merge the information in to an LOI is by these associated templates. Just come down here and click on create from this link. And that will automatically merge in all of your seller's information. Now, what type of LOI do we want? Most of the time, we're going to be doing business assets. So we're the broker for the seller. And you may also be the broker for the buyer. So if so, go ahead and check that as well. And then, so all your seller information has been imported and is complete. So now we're looking at our buyer information. So let's say it's Bob Baker, sole proprietor. Actually, we want Bob and Barbara Baker. So we'll say Bob Baker and Barbara Baker, the authorized signer, Bob, Bob's email. Do that. It's at 5,000 Elm Grove in any city. California, 91105. And we're going to add Barbara as another signer. So copy her here. She's the CFO and her email address is BarbaraB6677@gmail.com. Okay. So we don't, our broker information for the buyer, we don't need now because we indicated up here that we're the broker for both the seller and the buyer. If you uncheck buyer, then when you scroll down here, what you will see is it's going to ask for the broker information for the buyer's broker. Firm, DRE, agent name, DRE. Okay. So if you're dual agent, that information is no longer needed. So the letter of intent date, let's just say that's the current date. And we're going to close on August 31st. At the end of the day of closing. Now, let's say we want $10,000 on signing this agreement. And then another $10,000 when the purchase agreement is signed. And we don't need anything when escrow instructions are signed, so we can put 0 there. Okay. 3 days before closing, we need another 80,000 from Barbara and Bob. And we have cash payment provided from third-party financing. Let's say that's 300. And they're going to assume, or there's going to be a seller note of, this was 300. There's going to be a seller note of 200, or actually a seller note of 100. Let's say our purchase price $500,000. Okay. So we've got our total consideration here of $500,000. Buyer agrees to send deposit directly to escrow within 3 days of signing. Now, when you click on the box here, there are other options. So buyer agrees to send the deposit. If you're having the buyer send the deposit directly, that's great. Sometimes brokers will have the buyers give them a check. So in that case, maybe the broker is authorized to hold the deposit check uncashed until escrow instructions are signed. Kind of defeats the purpose up there. And then the other option, you could scroll this up and down. Okay, so another option is that the broker's authorized to deposit check into an escrow trust account upon acceptance of an offer or acceptance of the LOI. Okay, so typically you're going to have the buyer send the funds directly to escrow. As for a promissory note, you can use default language, or you can provide your own language. If you select to provide your own language, then you're going to just enter in the custom information. Okay, whatever the terms of the note are going to be, you're going to provide your own and just enter that here. But if we go up, say, use the default language, then let's say it's going to be, a note at 10%, amortizing over 48 months. And let's say the monthly payment is, I don't know, $5,000. I mean, you can go to Bankrate or use a loan calculator to pull up whatever the correct amount is going to be. Okay, but for our purposes, it's just an example. So we're just putting in dummy information. All right, inventory. Is the inventory included? Inventory will not be included, or it will be included. So let's say we're going to include some inventory, and the inventory is included is going to be 50,000. So we want to make sure that it doesn't exceed 55,000. So we're going to go plus or minus 10%. Okay, because if there's more inventory than what's included, then the purchase price increases. If there's less inventory, then it decreases. It'll offset the note or adjust the seller note. So we just want to make sure that we're putting a cap on things. Is there AR included for the sporting goods? Maybe he's got some AR from a school or a little league or a little league club or something. So if there's AR included, then yes, it's going to ask you for an amount. If not, no, the amount goes away. Okay. The contingencies, what's the target date for completing due diligence? And we're going to say, in this case, we want due diligence done within, I don't know, by July 15th. And is there a lease contingency? Is there third-party financing contingencies? If not, uncheck the boxes. Usually you will have a lease contingency, and if there's third-party financing, you usually will have third-party financing contingency. Okay, where there's third-party financing contingency, then you're going to have them submit a loan application to maybe 2 lenders within 5 days of signing, and get a conditional approval letter in the amount of, we said, what did we say they were financing up here? 300,000. So we've got 300,000, and we want to make sure that we have a approval letter for that within 30 days of signing. And then we want to make sure it can be funded within 60 days after signing. So we said we were going to close August 31st, so maybe 90 days. And then any other contingencies. And if it was a franchise, you could list other, you could just click on add contingencies, add franchisor approval required, or add, whatever other contingencies you have. You can click on add contingency as many times as you need to, enter in information, then add more. Okay. So we'll get rid of these here. All right, so training, we've got the seller, and in this case, Sam Roberts individually is going to train the buyer for 4 weeks, up to 20 hours a week. We want a covenant not to compete within a radius of, let's say, 15 miles for 5 years. And the purchase agreement, we want the purchase agreement prepared on a CAB form, or buyer may say that their attorney, they want the LOI on our form, but their attorney is going to prepare the purchase agreement, in which case, if you know the attorney's name, you can go ahead and enter that here. But we'll just say we're going to use a CAB form. The LOI will expire. Let's say the LOI is going to expire 90 days after signing or upon execution of a purchase agreement. And we don't have a counteroffer right now. We're just preparing this for the buyer. And if there's an addendum needed, we can leave this checked. Otherwise, if there's no addendum needed, then we don't need to check this box. So we can uncheck that. So we save this. And we should be able to take a look at our LOI. So we've got our information in here, the multiple deposits. We've got the seller note and our inventory. Accounts receivable is not included. So assets and consideration do not include AR. We've got our target date for completing due diligence, July 15th. And all of our other terms in here that need to transfer over to the purchase agreement. Okay. And that's it. That's how you generate a letter of intent.